Hey everybody, it's Mary Lynn of Hard at Work, and welcome to another podcast series of Creating an Impactful Legacy. So today I have my friend Lori on the call with me today. We met, a year ago or 2 years ago now at the World Kindness launch, and we're both...
I think a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago? Yeah? Okay. Good. So, Lori, welcome to my podcast show. I so appreciate you coming on today or tonight. I'm a little on the dark side, but I'm glad you're nice and bright. So, anyway, tell us a little bit more about how'd you get started doing what you're doing and
Sure.
all that other stuff. And just to introduce yourself.
So, absolutely. So, again, my name's Lori, and I am, as Mary said, we met sort of through the World Kindness Initiative. So that's how we got acquainted. And I think I've always been heading in this direction in the kindness world. I was raised by two pastors who are all about giving and taking care of each other and protecting each other and protecting the earth. And so I grew up and became a psychologist, and I'm actually a geriatric psychologist. So I help people sort of at the end of their lives figure out who they are and remind them how terrific they are and how wonderful they are. And so that's what I've been doing. And then a couple of years ago, I felt that it wasn't quite enough, that I needed to do something else to help the world. And so that's how I came up with the idea for my company. So I feel like I've sort of been heading in this direction of the kindness community my whole life. And so the company I founded a couple of years ago is called Inclusivity. Goals are spreading kindness and justice through wearable art and through community events. So that's how I came to this specific space where we met.
Yeah, I really like your latest information you sent out about working with artists and promoting the artists and using your bags and your shirts and things like that. It's actually a really good move. So I really enjoyed reading about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're sort of we're introducing new products soon, and so we're sort of at a recap period where we're looking back at all the things we've done and all the people we've worked with and trying to pay tribute to some of the artists that have created things for us in the past. So we're at kind of a fun period of reminiscing, also expanding.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you were just saying, you're reminiscing about what you've done and who you've worked with, and can you share some successful stories of artists or people that you've worked with?
Well, sure. We've worked with about, I think, 10 or 12 different artists over the last couple of years, and from artists in Minnesota like Tacumba Aiken, who's an African-American artist who does a lot of community art and also does these really big, interesting pieces of art, to husband, who's created a couple pieces for us, and Ray's mostly a ceramic artist, but also did some painting for us. There's Sarah Young, who actually lives in Washington State, who is a very body positive artist, and so she created some work for us around justice. And Anna is another Washington State-based artist who also created for us. And we've just been incredibly lucky to have this diverse swath of artists from the African American community as well as the Native American community, and tried to sort of reach across the board and work with a variety of artists. And then the other things that we're really proud of that we've done are we've done a lot of community events. We're taking a little hiatus from doing those right now as we introduce this new product, but we've had a kindness celebrations, several different community-based kindness celebrations, and have worked with amazing like Mary Harris, who is herself sort of a kindness-focused musical performer. And so we can who's this young, dynamic, really talented woman. So it's been kind of a fun ride because we've been able to work with these artists, we've been able to work with musicians, we've met people in the community, and we've also been able to sort of spread this positive message of taking care of each other. Right. And so it's been awfully fun. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So can you tell me, just tell the audience a little bit what your mandate is for your company or your nonprofit?
What the mandate is that what you said?
Yeah, your mandate
Okay.
or why you started it, kind of thing.
Yeah, so I literally started the company. I think that if you'd asked me in early 2016 if I would ever start a company, I would have said no. I love being a geriatric psychologist. I get to help people
Right.
literally remember who they are at the end of their lives. What a wonderful and fortunate position to be in, that I get to hear people's stories.
Right.
And then as 2016 progressed and got to the end of 2016, I just felt like the world was not going in the direction I really wanted it to go. And so I felt like people's rights really were being taken away. Instead of people getting more rights, I felt like their rights were being taken away. Instead of protecting the earth, I felt like we were doing the opposite, that we were actually taking this sudden turn away from protecting the earth.
Right.
And so I felt like I couldn't just not do something more. And so I started brainstorming, what is it that I want to do? And I decided that I wanted to work with artists, because I think artists are always hurt during times of oppression.
Right.
And when we're holding things back, arts are often affected by that. And also artists give us a really good way into seeing where we are and where we should go and
Right.
what our problems are. So I just appreciate that and respect that so much. So I wanted to work with artists. And when I started out, I decided to go with t-shirts, because I thought people can access t-shirts.
Right.
So that's sort of a medium that's for everybody.
Right.
And so that's how we ended up starting the company. And our company goals really are, creating beautiful art, creating art that makes people talk about it, and also protecting the earth in our products and the way we produce things, as well as the materials we use. And also then doing these kindness celebrations and celebrations around justice and supporting nonprofits to really promote taking care of each other, and particularly taking care of the people in our society who most need assistance, who most need help.
Right.
And one of I think the cool thing about it is that, I have fundamentally stayed the same throughout this, as far as who I am, kind of core person.
Yeah.
And what's been fun is that a lot of what I've done, a lot of the work with the communities, and a lot of the kindness messages really do tie in some still.
You're just breaking up a bit. Are you still there?
That their presence has made a difference in the world.
Right.
I think a lot of that is that sort of self-esteem and building people and reminding us to be kind to each other and take care of each other. So the cool thing is it's a very, very different avenue, but the underlying message, I think, is all
Right.
similar,
Right.
which has been kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, as you were saying that, is that so it's sort of like you learn the story about the person that's near the end of their life, and you could have a t-shirt made with their message or their brand, or a short message about who they are, and whether they're an artist or their picture of them or something, is just sort of a remembrance of that.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Because that still folds in what you're very passionate about, which is the end of life of somebody, and still be able to bring it forth to share their story, and to have wearable art with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just kind of.
Well, and
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's great. And the new product that we're introducing is actually we're starting with a bag and a jacket that have interchangeable panels on them. So on the back of the jacket and on the bag will be a panel that you can actually remove and put different art on it.
Oh, okay.
So it becomes this changeable artistic expression, or expression of the way you're feeling, or expression of thoughts that you're having, or a belief you have, or whatever it is.
Right.
And making those out of is the panels themselves are canvas. And so we'll be inviting people even to make their own. So that what you're just talking about, where you might have a bag and I can quite literally imagine a day at a senior facility where everybody makes their own panel, and then everybody has a bag where these panels that they've created can be displayed. Because it's a powerful thing to display something you've created. It's a
Right.
powerful thing. Even from some of the artists, I've heard that having someone wear something you've made is just a powerful statement. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really excited about this product because the goal is to allow this incredible expressiveness
Right.
across anyone who wants to create something.
Right.
So we're excited to get that launched, and we're thinking by the end of March we should have those first couple products out. So
Well,
kind
okay.
of a fun transition for us.
Yeah, because when they're creating their artwork, whoever is doing it,
Yeah,
it's a great avenue for them to have an art show and sell their art.
yeah, it really is.
you know.
It
So,
really is. Yeah.
oh, cool. That's cool. So, what are your challenges have been so far, or what do you think that some of the challenges have been for the
Mhm.
people you represent?
Well, I think it depends on where you're talking about in my life. So, as a geriatric psychologist, obviously the challenges for my clients really are that as we age, we change, and the
Right.
things we can do change. And I think sometimes we feel like the things we do define us. And
Mhm.
so, if I'm the one who cooks dinner for my family, and
Right.
I'm the one who always mows the yard, or I'm the one who always drives, and I suddenly can't do those things, for me internally, that makes me feel like I'm less than I was.
Oh, okay.
And I think part of my job and part of the challenge is to remind people that I don't like you, Mary Lynn, because you know how to do a podcast. I like you because I enjoyed speaking to you, because you're interesting, because of who you are internally. And I think that part of my challenge as a geriatric psychologist is that reminding people that their kids didn't like them because they cooked dinner.
Yeah.
Their kids liked them because of the time they got to spend with them during the dinner, and
Right.
that people remain that core person
Mhm.
regardless of whether they can walk anymore, regardless of whether they can cook the dinner anymore. And
Right.
that's a wonderful thing to be able to give people, but it's also a challenge. From the company, I would say there have been a whole host of challenges because, psychologist, not a business person, totally alien to me. I have learned so much in the last 3 years as a business person. It's amazing how much I've learned. But I think one of the challenges is it's a bit of a challenge, but as a psychologist, the people that I work with on a regular basis don't have to do what I recommend, and it doesn't really hurt me personally if they don't.
Right.
I encourage them to do it. We have to make new plans. It's often a great learning thing because if they don't do something we've agreed they're going to do, then it's a good time for us to say, okay, you didn't do that, so why not?
Yeah.
And was that just the wrong assignment in the first place?
Hmm.
Maybe you really didn't want it. You said you wanted to do it because you thought that's what I wanted to hear, but maybe it wasn't something you really wanted to do. But in business, what of course makes complete sense. If I'm counting on someone to do something and they don't do it, it actually costs my bottom line. It affects the product. There's all these ripple effects that I think I've had to become better at saying, if you're not doing your job, I still like you, but I'm going to find someone else to do that job because yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a totally different way of having to look at working with somebody. And so
Right.
that's been a challenge for me. I think thinking of the business as a business, thinking of it as just, it's a social enterprise. So there's a very strong component of reaching out to others and helping the world. But there
Right.
also has to be an underlying, it's a corporation. So there also has to be an underlying plan that actually makes revenue.
Right.
And much easier for me to do the activities and the things that are much easier for me to give things away than it is for me to actually remember that. And so that's been a learning curve for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all go through that. It's like I was
Yeah.
talking to a friend of mine today about the same thing because it's like we have to learn to tell a new story, and the
Hmm.
story has to be moving forward, not being stuck in the back. So part of that, what you're saying is like not giving things away, is that the new story is that I'm in business. You're welcome to buy it, but I'm not here to give it away. Unless I get some sort.
I will give away a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I can still be a good person
yeah,
and still charge for the product.
right,
And my goal now, especially with these new products, is to create something so wonderful that you want to own it
right,
and you want to make it your own. You want to get a panel and have your friends come over for a decorating party. You
right.
want to be involved in that. So that's sort of where we're at now.
Yeah. No, I really like that. I think it's a great idea. It's like a paint party, only instead of
It's
a
it's
canvas,
exactly like that.
you
Yep.
know, so it's a cloth, right, to go on the back of a jacket or a
Yep.
t-shirt.
So it's a piece of canvas.
Right,
So, which is nice because it's a medium that holds paint so well.
right.
Um, and so it's fun and exciting, but boy, it has been a challenge. A business is a different animal.
Than just, counseling somebody or listening to them
Right,
through the story. Yeah. Because all you have to do is sit there and listen, right? And give them space to
right.
speak versus getting somebody to do something because it's a business, right? Like you were saying, I still like you, but I'm going to find
Right.
somebody else to do this job. Yeah, that's so cool. So I find that too is it's like in the workplace too, right? You're
Wonderful to
have to
learn
tell
things.
somebody the same thing, what you just said. And it was so nicely said. I'm like, oh, I have to remember that. So, what type of artists do you like to work with? And are you still seeking?
Oh boy. I mean, historically, we've worked with artists that have created, an like we've worked with artists who are painters. We've worked with artists who predominantly are, sketch. We've worked with artists who my husband's predominantly a ceramic artist, but has done some painting work for us. One of the things that's exciting about the new product, and I can't wait to see how artists even use it, because if you as an artist were going to do a panel as an original piece, because
Mhm.
you as an artist could say, I want to do this print. So I'm going to do an original piece and then I want you to create copies of it and we'll
Right,
sell those. That'd
right,
be great. We can do that easily on the canvas. But you as an artist could also say, actually, I'm going to do an art show where I use these panels and create a lot of individual one-off pieces.
right.
What's really cool and I'm excited about once these products are done is that an artist who's a textile artist, for example, could
Hmm.
use these pieces so that it wouldn't have to be just an art. It could be an artist who does needlepoint, could
Right,
needlepoint on these canvases.
right.
It could be an artist who does more textured textile work,
Hmm.
could do that on the canvas. And so suddenly we're opening it up to a broader group of artists than previous to work with, because when we're doing duplicate prints, we can't do a textile. You can't make duplicate prints of a textile. It doesn't look right. It won't turn out right. But
Right.
this is kind of an exciting, I'm curious to see what artists do with it. In
Mhm.
fact, even in my own head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to get some fabric swatches and just see what I can create
Right,
on this panel, because there's sort of no restriction. There's
right,
kind of no limit. And
right.
that's really fun.
Hmm. Hmm. No, it sounds really fun. A lot of
I
fun.
like I also I like really diverse artists. So I want to work with artists that, abstract artists to, more realism and just sort of anything. I'm pretty open about the kind of art that I'm interested in.
Right, right. And so, if there was an artist that was interested in being a part of your project,
Hmm.
how would they get a hold of you?
So we have a website, www.inclusivity.com, with a dash between the I and the TEE at the end.
Hmm.
And we are actually in the process of redoing the website. So we're thinking within the next 2 weeks, it'll be relaunched sort of with the focus on the new products.
Right,
But there's always ways to
right,
get in touch with me through the website. They can actually email me. And we
right,
love that. We love the idea of having new artists on board.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, on your page, we'll have all that information. So, if they
Yeah.
want to get
There's
you,
a place, I think, up at the top that actually says work with us.
yeah,
And if you click on that, you get a list of, if you want to use our products for fundraising, if you're a company that you want to work with us, if you're an individual, an artist, I think is one of those choices. There's, I think, also even a tab for artists right at the top.
okay, okay, cool, awesome. So, any other things you want to share about, the work you do or
Mhm.
the artist project or anything else you want to say or ask questions or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm also working on a book, and the book I'm working on is sort of about life lessons that I've learned as a psychologist and as a business owner and as a parent. And I think the big ones are really are the noticing the important things that are going on around you and really focusing on um, believing in something,
Yeah.
focusing on believing in something and focusing on noticing the things that are happening that are good. Because one of the things that you and I have talked about in the past that
Mhm.
is that every time we see a negative act, we have to see or do or experience 3 positive acts just to counteract it, just to balance that scale.
Right.
And I think it's up to us as people who really do care about the world and care about each other and want to promote this message of kindness and moving forward. It is up to us to say we're going to take a stance. And part of my stance is that I am going to actively seek those positive things because they really are happening all around us.
Yeah.
It is just easy to get overwhelmed by the negative and to
Yeah.
focus on the negative because the negative is loud.
Yeah.
It's noisy and it's blaring. And the positive is often tiny, but
Mhm.
those tiny moments are so inspiring and pivotal in sort of keeping us human and reminding us that there's good stuff going on around here. So I think that that's sort of my takeaway for myself, something I remind myself of every day, all the time. It's something I remind my clients of as a geriatric psychologist. That is, a constant reminder is watch for the good stuff. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter how hard it is right now,
Mhm.
watch for the good stuff because you will find it if you watch for it.
Right.
So that's sort of the underlying current of my life, I think, with everything that I do right now.
Yeah. No, that's so cool because, yeah, we get caught up in something happened to us rather than
Mhm.
responding and finding the gem in that. That's a great
Yeah.
reminder. Yeah, that's a great reminder. Yeah. Great. Well, I enjoyed our conversation, Lori, and I am sure we're
Thank
going
you
to have
so
many
much.
more. If there's anything
I was
that,
going to say, I think we should have many more. Yes.
yes, we'll have many more conversations after this. And yeah, and if you are you in the artist group on Facebook?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll send you the link. And
Please do.
because there's a lot of artists there always looking for,
Oh, yeah, please do.
yeah, yeah,
Well, and especially as these new products launch, that's
right,
exactly where I want to really start reaching out to the artist community even more
right.
than I already am.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that would be
Well, now
terrific.
that you have such an awesome product or service to offer them,
You
right?
know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's great having you on the call, Lori. I so appreciate it. And yes, we'll have many more conversations.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so, in closing, I'm going to say good night and thank you for joining us on this podcast series about creating a positive and impactful legacy. And like Lori's creating her impactful legacy through the arts, her products, and through the geriatrics with her patients as a psychologist. That's so cool. So, anyway, but thank you for joining us, and we'll be chatting with you all soon. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.